If you make this for anyone, they will be impressed. Hello everyone, welcome to the video. Welcome to my channel if you are new. My name is Mina, culinary school grad, former professional cook, bringing you delicious anabolic recipes. You asked for it, it's here, an anabolic restaurant style dinner. I don't think this has ever been done before. It's gonna have 5 components: meat, veggies, chutney, glaze, and garnish. So we have a lot of work to do. I'm just gonna stop talking, let's just get to it. To be the most efficient when you're cooking, you always want to start with whatever's going to take you the longest to make. In our case here, it's the chutney. I'm also going to use this time to peel all the shallots, all the garlic, and all the ginger that I need. The way I cut my shallots is I take the top and the end off, and then I just make a slit down the side of it, then peel it. If you want to see a video on how to peel and cut common vegetables, let me know in the comments. I'll make a video showing you how I like to cut everything efficiently. And I'm sure this is common knowledge by now, but if you didn't know, a spoon is the best way to peel ginger. Now I'm gonna cut everything for the chutney. Now this doesn't need to be anything fancy. We're doing very rough chops here since we're gonna blend all these ingredients anyway. You can use non-stick spray if you want, but I counted all the oil that I used in this recipe in the calories. So I have this little oil sprayer that I got from Amazon, just to spritz regular oil out. Then we're gonna season it with salt and some pepper, freshly ground pepper. Try it once, you'll never go back to pre-ground, I promise you. So let's work on the soy glaze because it's gonna take some time to reduce. So we're just gonna put everything in the pot: soy sauce, brown sugar, honey, water, hoisin sauce, rice vinegar, sesame oil, and hot sauce. I use sambal, which is a chili garlic paste. You can leave that out if you don't like spicy food. Now, I grated my ginger. I suggest you grate your ginger too. It tremendously brings out the flavor, and it's not the same as if you were to slice it. This is a whole pork tenderloin that we're gonna trim and clean and use for the dish. So it's really easy to trim these things. They don't really have any fat on them, just what's called a silver skin, which is inedible. Your body can't actually digest the stuff. So I suggest you take it off if it's on there. Even if you have to take a little piece of meat off with it, it's okay. It's worth to remove. Do not eat that stuff. It's not good. Then we're gonna portion it into about 6-ounce pieces. It could be more or less depending on what you want. Now let's check on the glaze. It looks almost done. And the vegetables look pretty much almost done as well. This is the consistency of the glaze after it's reduced. That's what we're looking for. Next, let's make the chutney. So we're gonna blend up all the vegetables that we made with some lime juice, some sesame oil, soy sauce, half a peeled apple, watercress, and then we're gonna blend it up with some water. I'm also gonna put all the exact measurements of the ingredients in the description, so don't worry about that. Since I want this to be more of a chutney consistency, I didn't blend it for too long so it can keep some of that texture. Vegetable part of the dish, I used Baby Bokchoy and Japanese eggplants. Bok choy, be careful, it sometimes has a lot of dirt inside, so make sure that you give it a rinse before you use it. Fun fact, I like to grow some of my vegetables. This year I happened to grow some eggplants, so these eggplants that I'm using in the dish actually all came from my garden. If you want to see my garden and other projects that I do, follow me on Instagram, you'll see all that stuff there. To prep the eggplants, just cut the tops off and then we're gonna score them diagonally. We do that because it helps the eggplants cook evenly and it just looks very pretty. Look at that, isn't it pretty? So just do that to all the eggplants, but please watch your fingers when you do this. For the vegetables, we're gonna use garlic and shallots. The garlic you can just leave in chunks because we're gonna remove them later on. The shallots, we want them thinly sliced, as thinly as you possibly can. Should I do a video on knife skills? Let me know if you'd like to see that. Again, you could use non-stick spray here, but I used regular oil in a spray bottle. You want to put the eggplant cut side down. They're gonna go for about 5 minutes or so until you see a brown color. Since these are very small Japanese eggplants, they don't take any time to cook at all. So if your eggplants are thicker, they may take longer to cook. Next up is the bok choy. We're gonna do the same thing with it, and about halfway when it's done, with the cooking. We're gonna give it a flip, and then we're gonna add all the aromatics that we cut, the shallots and the garlic. We're only gonna season the shallots and the garlic. If you notice, we didn't season the bok choy or the eggplants. That's because the soy glaze is really strong and it's gonna be more than enough seasoning for the vegetables. I personally like my bok choy crunchy, so that's what it looks like when I take it out. When you sear a big piece of meat, the best way to do it is really in a cast iron pan. It retains a lot of the heat and it gets extremely hot, and you want it to be really hot. Just like mine here, you can see it is actually smoking. Of course, we're going to season it, plenty of salt, plenty of pepper. Now, the goal here is to get that nice golden crust on all sides of the pork. So once you have a crust on one side, just flip it over to a side that does not have a crust and keep doing this. Use the pan to prop it up if you need to. Do whatever it takes to get that nice crust. You're probably thinking, how do you know when this thing is done? So you could feel it with your hand, which is pretty hard to do and takes years of experience to learn. My recommendation to everyone is to get a meat thermometer, and we're looking for 145 degrees for pork tenderloin. My preferred way is actually using a cake tester. So you put the tester in the meat and then you put it up against your lip and see how hot it is. This also takes some practice. Very important that you also let the pork rest, or any kind of meat rest, after it's cooked. This will prevent all the juices from seeping out. Now, while that happens, we're gonna cut our garnish. Notice that the garnish here has to make sense. So I chose crispy, fresh ingredients that we also use throughout the dish. Apples and some watercress. So the pork is done resting and it's ready to be sliced. Okay. When you slice meat, you want to slice it against the grain. That causes it to fall apart in your mouth and not be so chewy. So the grains are going this way. So I'll be cutting against it. Pretty nicely cooked. Remember, this is pork, so we're looking for medium to medium well. Here comes the fun part, the plating. This is possibly the best part of this whole process. So I chose to go with a round plate. I thought that would be the best shape for this kind of dish, but feel free to plate this however you want. I'm gonna lay down the chutney first. This should be enough for 2 dishes. Then the pork. Nice fanned out slices as evenly as you can. Eggplants. They don't all have to be facing the same exact way. You can be as creative as you want here. Play around, whatever looks good to you. Just don't put the garlic in here. We got our beautiful soy glaze here. Want some on the meat. Again, this glaze should be good for 2 dishes. I'm gonna put some on the vegetables too. Give them a little bit of a kick. Then we have our apples and watercress garnish. Gonna be honest, the plating isn't as pretty as I would like it to be. I didn't really plan the plating, I just kind of went with whatever, and there's a lot of food for this plate. That's what I realized. I'm gonna have the calories on the screen. Obviously, I think it's somewhere around 320 calories or something like that. I mean, that's kind of ridiculously low for this. We used the oil in here. Let's try it. I'm gonna get a little bit of everything. The pork, bok choy, a little bit of the chutney, tiny piece of eggplant, an apple. Those flavors work. That soy sauce glaze is so good. So the eggplants didn't need any seasoning at all because we used that soy sauce glaze, and that soy glaze is so strong. You wouldn't want to eat it on its own. You wouldn't really want to eat it as a sauce. That's why we use it just sparingly, and we just put a little bit on the vegetables and the meat. And then you have that chutney on the bottom of the plate. Just it kind of brings everything together. Like with every bite, the chutney's just in the background doing work. It's almost like the backup singers. And then of course the pork and the apples, it's such a classic combination. And the fresh apples are so nice and crunchy. Now this is an anabolic dinner. If you make this for anyone, they will be impressed with your cooking skills. If you liked anything about this video, if you learned anything in this video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you learned. Let me know what you want to know. The next video coming up is going to be cookies. Actually, yeah, there's a batch right here. This is a sneak preview. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see all this behind the scenes. You'll see me when I'm testing my recipes and when I'm making all these videos. So follow me on Instagram. I'll put that somewhere here. If you have any cooking or food related questions you would like to ask me, drop it in the comments. I will answer everyone. If you make any of my recipes, tag me on Instagram. I will repost everybody, not just whose food look good. So tag me, I will repost you, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.